Shabbat Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. All praises to the Most High for all the events that are going on now. We know everything that's happening before us is directly out of our Bible. It's prophecy, and it's in full effect, y'all. It's undeniable the times we are in. And I thank the Heavenly Father and pray He would get His people through it safely. You know He's there for us. And I pray for any of you that have family in the military right now and they're being deployed or already in the Middle East, because it is getting tough as these military bases continue to get bombed and they got to constantly be relocated. I hope that they will remain safe wherever they are over there. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you. Now, I think there's some commercials in the beginning, so please bear with me.
The Global Gaming League is presented by Atlas Earth, the fun cashback app.
Hey, it's Howie Mandel, and I am inviting you to witness history as me and my Howie Do It gaming team take on Gilly the King and Wallow 267's $1 million gaming in an epic Global Gaming League video game showdown, plus a halftime performance by multi-platinum artist Travie McCoy. Watch all the action and see who wins and advances to the championship match right now at globalgamingleague.com. That's globalgamingleague.com.
In partnership with Level Up Expo.
The world is your jackpot at Borgata Hotel, Casino and Spa during the $1 million Worldly Winnings drawing. Play and earn entries now through April for your chance at over $1 million in prizes, including 10 $25,000 dream vacation packages. Drawings every Saturday with grand prize drawings March 28th and April 25th. $1 million Worldly Winnings only at Borgata. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, and again, the title of the class is Easter, the Queen of Heaven. And we're opening up in Acts chapter 12. And we're going to read 1 through 5. And we're going to see Easter mentioned in the Bible.
All right, Acts chapter 12 and verse 1. Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. Because he saw it pleased the Jews, or the Yahudim, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread.
All right, so this is after the birth, death, and resurrection of Mashiach. And you see, we're still keeping the feast days, unleavened bread. All right, Tamshi.
Verse 4. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. Peter therefore was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto Elohim for him.
All right, so we see here at verse 4. And when they had apprehended Yohanan, they put him in prison and delivered him to the quaternions of soldiers to keep him, and they wanted to release him after Easter to bring him forth to the people. So they slid Easter in here real slick to make you feel like, Easter, unleavened bread, inferring like it's the same thing. All right, so let's look at that Greek word that they used for Easter. You look at that Greek word, the Greek word is Pascha, which is actually of the Hebrew origin Pesach or Pesach. So this is the Passover day, the festival or special sacrifices connected with it. And then you see they slid in Easter. All right. So this is for people that don't know. You would think, well, you keeping Easter, that's in the Bible. So you would think that you are doing what the Most High is asking of you to do. But clearly you see unleavened bread. We can find that in the Bible, given by the Most High in Leviticus 23. And we can find Pesach. We can find that in the Bible as well. Also in Leviticus 23 and Exodus 12. And we can find it all through New Testament, Old Testament. But Easter is only listed here one time. So let's talk a little bit real quick about the history of Easter. All right. So one thing we want to consider with Easter is that where did it come from? All right. Let's take a look. All right. So you have the history of Easter. The name Easter, the English word Easter, derived from Eestre in Old English, Ostara in Old High German, and Asteron in Old Saxon. Yestre or Astera was a Germanic dawn goddess associated with spring and fertility. So this is the Germanic dawn goddess associated with spring and fertility. Now we know that the Greeks and the Europeans, they didn't make up these entities. They didn't make up these idols. They merely changed the name of them. So where did all this come from? All right. So now looking at Ishtar, which would have been where Ishtar and Isis and those Afro-Asiatic type gods, that's where the Europeans got it from. So let's take a look at these rituals and symbolisms that they use along with Easter. Now, of course, we know the Easter eggs. You have the Easter egg hunt. And you think about it, you dress up your children in all white and they run around trying to find the egg. That's a fertility ritual. That's literally dressing up your children like the sperm cell and having them trying to find the egg. So these are fertility pagan rituals that our children are taking part of, right? And then they have the lie about rabbits laying eggs. First of all, mammals don't lay eggs. All right. So that's number one. It's rooted in a lie. And it's saying that the rabbits and hares were associated with the fertility deity. So this was a symbol or the idols that were associated with the idol of the fertility god. So, and they used the actual rabbit and hares because of the rapid reproduction. So this Easter bunny spawned out of this constant evolving of pagan gods and pagan rituals that go back all the way into to ancient Africa and ancient Asia. All right, so let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11. We're going to see how some of this practice began, at least with the children of Israel. So Rishon Melachim, 1 Kings chapter 11, and I want to read verses 1 through 13. Pull up the scripts. All right. And Shabbat Shalom, sis Evie, good to see you. Shabbat Shalom to my big brother Aaron Hicks, good to see you, family. As always, Shabbat Shalom, sis Ariel. Shabbat Shalom, sis Sherry Randolph, good to see you. And as always, Shabbat Shalom to my big brother Yafi Yehuda. Good to see y'all, family.
All right. 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 1. But King Solomon of Shlomo loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Edomites, the Zidonians, and the Hittites, of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Yasharal, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, For surely they will turn away your heart after their Elohim. Solomon clave unto these in love.
All right, so Shlomo loved many strange women. All right, so these are women that not just that they were from a foreign nation, but they had foreign gods. They weren't assimilating to the house of Yasharal. You want to stay amongst the house of Yasharal, then you gotta assimilate to the rules, Yah's rules. Well, these wives weren't doing that, and Shlomo was caught up into that. So, with that being said, they turned his heart away from Yah, and that's why Yah said, "I don't want you to deal with the women of these particular nations, because these are matriarchal nations where you have priestesses instead of priests, and they're teaching matriarchy. So these women are going to control the leadership of the house, because the faith, Yah is the leader of the house. So if the woman is choosing the God of the house, then that's matriarchy. So Yah did not want the children of Israel to deal with those particular type of women, not because the gods were just so appealing, because these type of women use certain practices that would use the lust of the flesh to draw us away from our spiritual father. So this is what's going on with Shlomo at this time.
And just to kind of add to that, in the law, we were instructed basically if you're going to take multiple wives, that you had to take equal care for all of them, meaning you had to provide and make sure that they were good. You couldn't just be heaping wives to yourself. And when you look at what Saul said in the New Testament about he said those who are married will care more about how the things of the world, how he may please his wife.
Right.
So imagine Solomon with not just 1, 2, or 3, or 4, but hundreds of wives. Imagine how focused, just on a fleshly level, he had to be to make sure that he's taking care of all of these, if he was indeed taking care of all of them. But just imagine how much mental and spiritual bandwidth that would have took, in addition to his obvious idolatry. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
that's a lot to heap on yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And these are things that a man has the right to do. He has the right to multiply wives unto himself. But a man of Yah, especially the kings, and we are a nation of kings and priests, we're not supposed to multiply wives. Now, this is not a multiple wife class, but you're not supposed to multiply horses or gold as well. So that means you're not supposed to have it in abundance. It didn't mean that you couldn't be wealthy. Don't have it in abundance. When you're talking about 1,000 wives, which we about to read, that's a multiple of 10. That's a multiple of 100. That's what they mean by multiples. So how can, like Ox said, how can you be concerned with Yah and his nation when you have this many ways to attack you? Because again, how's the devil going to enter into your house? Through the weaker vessel. And you have how many? 1,000? That's 1,000 entry points that you got to cover. And that makes it very, very difficult. So that was a great point, Ox. All right, Tom Shee.
Verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Shlomo was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh his Elohim, as was the heart of his father Dawid.
All right, so now because he's getting old, when you're young, you got the energy to deal with the fiery woman. You got the patience. You have the bravado. You got the young looks, the spirit. You making a mark. You establishing your house. But when you get older, you've been worn down. You have less energy. You don't have the same youthful exuberance, to kind of, quiet down certain things. So you got to find other ways to keep things in order, to keep your house intact, to keep your wife happy, to do all different things. Whereas when you were young, you could handle it a certain way. So now that he's old and he's obviously still taking on wives, they have turned his heart away. He's not pure with Yah. Now, rather than, hey, look, I want what Yah has for me, he wants what he wants. All right, Tom Sheep.
Verse 5. For Shlomo went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites.
All right, so mainly here, now we're starting to get to this queen of heaven. Now we start to see the children of Yasharal are going to now be introduced to this so-called queen of heaven. All right, so Ashtaroth. You're going to look at that in Hebrew. It's H6253. Ashtaroth, and that's the Phoenician goddess of love and increase. So now we're getting into the Phoenician, where like the people of the land, the Canaanites, that whole area. So now we're dealing with a goddess of the land. All right. So this goddess of the land, this Ashtaroth, is who we're now being introduced to. So go ahead and continue.
Verse 6. And Shlomo did evil in the sight of Yah, and went not fully after Yahweh, as Dawid his father. Then did Shlomo build a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their Elohim. And Yahweh was angry with Shlomo, because his heart was turned from Yahweh Elohim of Yasharal, which had appeared unto him twice.
All right, so now it's a whole host. It's not just one. Now he's got all the different pagan gods here now. And he's building temples and he's doing different things. He's using the treasury of Yasharal, the tithe money, the different things that would go towards the temple or towards building for the children of Yasharal, building for the nation. And he's now putting it on idols. So the people in Jerusalem that are of Yah's heart are like, man, we looked up to Shlomo, but now he's doing all these things. So imagine the people that are on the border that, are trying to repent, but they, might be a little short on spirit. Now they feeling like this is okay to have these idols now enter into the house. It's now becoming tradition, because who would have been a superstar at the time? Shlomo, the greatest king, the richest king, the wisest king. So surely his wisdom. So now the children of Israel are being bombarded with all these different pagan rituals and pagan gods that they were rejecting prior to that. It's now being accepted, because if the king is doing this, it must be okay. All right, Tom Sheep.
Verse 10. And had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other Elohim, but he kept not that which Yahweh commanded. Wherefore Yahweh said unto Shlomo, for as much as this is done of you, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely rend the kingdom from you, and will give it to your servant.
All right. So because of this idolatry, because of this woman worship, goddess worship, that's what that is. It's the same thing that happened in the garden. The woman was given somebody who was a husband, right? Who was given the instruction from the Most High. But when that husband decides, I'm not going to do what the Most High gave me to do, which is to be a leader, I'm going to start to follow my wife over following Yah. It's different if your wife is telling you something that Yah said, then you're following Yah. You're not following your wife. But if your wife is telling you something against what Yah says and you follow her, you're goddess worshiping. So now you saw that in the garden. Because of that, we fell, because we decided to follow a human instead of following Yah. And now we're seeing Shlomo do the same thing. And now the kingdom is being split in two. Up to this point, it's the nation of Yasharallah. It wasn't two. Now it's going to be split in two, where now you have the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. All right, Tom Sheep.
Verse 12. Notwithstanding, in your days I will not do it for Dawid your father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of your son. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to your son for Dawid my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I've chosen.
All right, so he left Benjamin with Judah. So that became the southern kingdom. That's what began the split, and that's where you have the southern kingdom. And that's where we likely are from, if we are in from the United States or from the that Caribbean area. We are likely from those tribes, because those were the last remaining tribes in Jerusalem that were sent to Western Africa and Egypt and all the different places of our African captivity prior to coming to the United States. The northern tribes were already scattered. They already were scattered into many parts of Africa, and then further on into Asia. All right, and we have a comment here, Brother Dre Day. Psalms 96:5. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but Yahweh made the heavens. Absolutely, that is literally the definition of idol right there. All the other mighty ones that are worshipped over Yah, or instead of Yah, or along with Yah, are all idols, because there's only one. Great commentary. All right, so let's go ahead and continue.
We're reading to verse 14 or 13?
13. That's good. All right, so let's stop right there. Let's move on. So let's go to 2 Kings chapter 23. So this is now a rampant problem in Israel. Divri Melachim chapter 23, and we're going to read 1 through 9. Now, we shouldn't have fell victim to that. All these other nations were sent evil angels to lead them away from the children of Yasharal. So Yah could sanctify us and work on us and teach us how to be royal and teach us how to represent. So we can't follow the other nations. We can't follow their gods. We can't trust their prophets. We can't do any of that. We know better. So you see the introduction of the king, the queen of heaven, now being introduced to the children of Yasharal. You had it in Egypt. We had to deal with Isis and all those different or whatever the ancient name for Isis was prior to the Greeks. We had to deal with all that stuff, and we had to get that out of our system, right? Then we came into the land, we prospered, and now because of our prosperity, we're getting a lot of different wives. We are now a rich people. Our king is one of the wealthiest in the world, and we're getting wives all over as Israel is dominating under the power of Yah. And it has now become rampant. So let's start at verse 1 and let's go through verse 9.
All right, 2 Kings chapter 23 and verse 1. And the king sent, and they gathered unto him all the elders of Yehoiada and of Jerusalem. And the king went up into the house of Yahweh, and all the men of Yehoiada, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets, and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant, which was found in the house of Yahweh. And the king stood by a pillar, and made a covenant before Yahweh, to walk after Yahweh, and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all their heart and all their soul, to perform the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant. And the king commanded Hilkiah the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the door, to bring forth out of the temple of Yahweh all the vessels that were made for Baal, and for the grove, and for all the host of heaven. And he burned them with Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carried the ashes of them unto Bethel.
All right, so King Hilkiah is showing you how it is supposed to be done. Now, these idols that are now in your house, now in your temple, you are the master, you are the Lord, you are the king. You're responsible for getting rid of it. You don't agree because, whoa. The wives want to do this, or the people want to do this, like Saul, who was scared of the people. You better fear Yah. You better establish this word in your house, establish this word in your kingdom, and remove those idols. Now, in this situation, they were physical idols, Asherah poles, all kind of weird stuff that they were doing, right? That they made for Baal, the sun god. So that's the king of heaven, the sun god, and then the queen of heaven, right? The grove, all those things. That's Ashtaroth. So you got the sun and the moon, right? You get rid of those things. You don't join yourself. You don't accept that. That's why you were put to be the head, because the instruction was given to you. So that's what the king is doing. So that's what we have to do as individuals, whether you are a man or a woman, but especially as heads of houses, husbands, fathers, princes, kings. You have to remove those things. First, you in yourself, remove all those things of pagan worship that you inherited from your forefathers, that you inherited from where we live. And once you're in the process of getting that out, you establish that that's not allowed in your house. As for me and my house, we going to serve Yah. Tamshi?
All right, verse 5. And he put down the idolatrous priests, whom the kings of Jehoiada had ordained to burn incense in the high places in the cities of Jehoiada, and in the places round about Jerusalem, them also that burned incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the host of heaven.
So you see that they're literally burning incense. You burn incense for prayer. So they're praying to Baal, which is Lord in English, by the way. That's why we don't say the Lord, because that's literally associated with Baal in Hebrew, right? So the sun god and the queen of heaven, the moon god, and to the planets and all the hosts of heaven, which are the other angels that they were worshiping. So this is what the men of Judah, this is what the kings were doing. Idolatrous priests, these is Israelite priests, Levites doing this. And Yah's financing all of this. Verse 6.
And he brought out of the grove from the house of Yahweh without Jerusalem unto the brook Kidron, and burned it at the brook Kidron, and stamped it small to powder, and cast the powder thereof upon the graves of the children of the people. And he brake down the houses of the Sodomites that were by the house of Yahweh, where the women wove hangings for the grove.
All right, so you had literal homosexuality going on here. This is literal rituals to worship the Queen of Heaven, to worship the sun god. You have to change the way things are supposed to be, where instead of a man and a woman, now you got a man on a man, which is utter confusion. Yah didn't give us that order. He didn't say woman on woman, man on man. He gave us the order of life. And now because of all these pagan rituals and gods that we have now allowed into the land that we were supposed to push out from the get-go, the king has allowed this. Now it's floating all the way down to the people. The king is responsible for this. He's supposed to shut this stuff down. All right, so Hilkiah is coming in here and trying to fix the situation. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And he brought all the priests out of the cities of Jehoiada, and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense from Gabah to Beersheba, and brake down the high places of the gates that were in the entering in of the gate of Yeshua, the governor of the city, which were on a man's left hand at the gate of the city. Nevertheless, the priests of the high places came not up to the altar of Yahweh in Jerusalem, but they did eat out of the unleavened bread among their brethren.
So these idolatrous priests are doing all this wickedness, right? Burning incense to the queen of heaven and the king, the sun god, and all kind of stuff. But then turn around and want to keep Passover. Won't come up to the altar, which is to make their offering, right? But they eating of unleavened bread. So remember that. That's the idolatrous priest will not make an offering, which is the offering of himself, is the offering we make today. They're not going to offer themselves, but they're going to show up for the holiday or holy day. All right, so that's the tradition. They still going to show up for that tradition. And that's what we have as it is to this day with Passover, with unleavened bread, with our holy days, especially these pagan holidays. They're going to show up for Easter. They're showing up for Christmas. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 44. Jeremiah chapter 44. All right, we're going to start this at verse 1.
All right. Jeremiah chapter 44 and verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the Yahudim which dwell in the land of Mitzrayim, which dwell at Migdol, and at Thephanes, and at Noph, and in the country of Pathros, saying, Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, you have seen all the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem and upon all the cities of Yehoiada, and behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man dwells therein. Because of their wickedness, which they have committed to provoke me to anger, and in that they wanted to burn incense and to serve other Elohim, whom they knew not, neither they, you, nor your fathers.
All right, so this wickedness that they're doing, we showed you that they're burning incense to the sun god, they're burning incense to the moon god, and the planets and the stars, everything. And because of that wickedness, Jerusalem is desolate. So these husbands, these priests, were allowing this to go down. And this all flows up to the king. The king was allowing this in his jurisdiction. And now the whole city is being destroyed. Hilkiah came in here and tried to correct it, but it's too late. It's already a plague that's been festered into the children of Israel. And we worshiping now these new gods that weren't even around.
Verse 4. Howbeit, I sent unto you all my servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, Oh, do not this abominable thing that I hate. But they hearken not, nor incline their ear to turn from their wickedness, to burn no incense unto other Elohim. Wherefore my fury and my anger was poured forth, and was kindled in the cities of Yehoiada, and in the streets of Jerusalem, and they are wasted and desolate, as at this day.
All right, so Yah sent, which he didn't do to the other nations, but to our nation, he sent the prophets rising up early, saying, look, don't do this abomination. Stop praying to these other gods. Stop following their rituals. Stop being governed by these evil angels. But we refuse to listen, as it is to this day. You try to talk to your family, try to tell them, listen, you don't participate in that. Don't, it's not for the kids. You're putting your kids in the fire by doing it because now they got to unlearn something that they should have never learned from the get-go. This is even from our fathers, right? But now we have learned it, and now we have to fight it all the way into our 10th generation. Tamshi?
Verse 7. Therefore now thus says Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, wherefore commit you this great evil against your souls, to cut off from you man and woman, child and suckling, out of Yehoiada, to leave you none to remain, and that you provoke me unto wrath with the works of your hands, burning incense unto other Elohim in the land of Mizraim, whether you be going to dwell, that you might cut yourselves off, and that you might be a curse and a reproach among all the nations of the earth. Have you forgotten the wickedness of your fathers, and of the wickedness of the kings of Yahweh, and the wickedness of their wives, and your own wickedness, and the wickedness of your wives, which they have committed in the land of Yahweh, and in the streets of Jerusalem? They are not humbled even unto this day, neither have they feared, nor walked in my law, nor in my statutes, that I set before you and before your fathers. Therefore, thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, behold, I will set my face against you for evil, and to cut off all Yahweh. And I will take the remnant of Yahweh that have set their faces to go in unto the land of Mizraim to sojourn there, and they shall be consumed. They shall all be consumed, and fall in the land of Mizraim. They shall even be consumed by the sword and by the famine. They shall die from the least even unto the greatest, by the sword and by the famine. And they shall be in execration and in astonishment and a curse and a reproach.
All right. So again, he's trying to remind us of our previous stay in Egypt. And now we run into Egypt for help. And now we have famine and pestilence everywhere. This judgment is on us for this idol worship that we refuse to leave alone. And because we're being supported by Egypt, aka modern America, the judgment isn't coming so swift, but it's just enough to hang ourselves. All right, Tom Sheep.
Verse 13. For I will punish them that dwell in the land of Mizraim, as I have punished Jerusalem by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. So that none of the remnant of Yahweh, which are gone into the land of Mizraim to sojourn there, shall escape or remain, that they should return into the land of Yahweh, to the which they have a desire to return to dwell there, for none shall return but such as shall escape. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense to other Elohim, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Mizraim and in Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that you have spoken unto us in the name of Yah, we will not hearken unto you. But we will certainly do whatsoever thing goes forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes, in the cities of Yahweh, and in the streets of Jerusalem. For them had we plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil.
All right. So again, all of us can testify as we come into this word and we start to make these changes and we let go of these pagan rituals and pagan gods. The attacks come. They come. In the first place, it comes from is your family. You know, praise Yah if you and your spouse are on the same spiritual understanding. But a lot of us, you know, men came in first, and then our wives came in afterwards, and then we had to deal with all that disorder. But they're saying point blank, look, we gonna do what we want to do. This is what our forefathers did. This is how we operated. So if we're gonna do what we want to do, it was better for us. And they literally burning incense to the Queen of Heaven. It's literally quote unquote. They're telling you this is what we're doing. And they're pouring out drink offerings. And they're justifying it. They're doing it outright in this situation, but guess what? Now it's just a different way to say the same thing. Well, this is Easter. Well, this is this is that. This is regarding Christ. But you're still saying the same thing. We're going to do what we want to do. If we know point blank that this is pagan worship, pagan rituals, has nothing to do. We have seen it. We've looked at it. You've been rebuked. And in their case, they're being rebuked by the prophet of Yah. And you still continue this. You're no different than our forefathers saying this. Look, things have been good for us while we've been doing this. All right. See what happens. Let's go. Continue.
Just real quick, this reminds me of Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 11, where it says, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hear me
You know,
out.
if you know, Yah chastens whom he loves. So, you know, he loved the nation of Israel. So when we do what we do, we get dealt with quickly, real quickly. But sometimes when you are not getting dealt with quickly, this is what happens. The wickedness continues on until it's too late to repent. All right, Tom Sheep.
Jeremiah chapter 44 and verse 18. But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine. And when we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured out drink offerings unto her, did we make her cakes to worship her and pour out drink offerings unto her without our men? Then Jeremiah said unto all the people, to the men and to the women, and to all the people which had given him that answer, saying, the incense that you burned in the cities of Jehoiada and in the streets of Jerusalem, you and your fathers, your kings, and your princes, and the people of the land, did not Yah remember them, and came it not into his mind, so that Yahweh could no longer bear because of the evil of your doings, because of the abominations which you have committed? Therefore is your land a desolation, and an astonishment, and a curse without an inhabitant, as at this day. Because you have burned incense, and because you have sinned against Yahweh, and have not obeyed the voice of Yahweh, nor walked in his law, nor in his statutes, nor in his testimonies, therefore this evil has happened unto you, as at this day.
All right. And furthermore, with them burning incense, when you praying, you're making a petition. You're trying to enter into a contract. So as you're trying to enter into this contract and you're praying and you're making this petition, you're superseding Yah and you're going to another entity. That's what we're doing. We're saying, look, I don't believe that Yah has the power, but I believe this pagan angel or entity or evil spirit, I believe it, that they are going to have the power to grant what I want. That's ultimately what we're doing when we're doing idol worship. We're doing it for a reason. We're doing it to gain some kind of benefit. They said it themselves. When we were, and our forefathers was worshiping the Queen of Heaven, everything was great, right? When we was in America, you know, a lot of people here, we're in America, everything is great. Okay. So you believe that the Queen of Heaven, the sun god and all in the different planets, you believe that's what granted you the mercy that you received? The children of Israel should not be like that. In the Shema, it's told point blank. All right, Tom Sheep.
Verse 44.
24.
Excuse me, 24. Moreover, Jeremiah said unto all the people and to all the women, hear the word of Yahweh, all that Jehoiada that are in the land of Mizraim. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, saying, you and your wives have both spoken with your mouths and fulfilled with your hands, saying, we will surely perform our vows that we have vowed, to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her. You will surely accomplish your vows, and surely perform your vows. Therefore hear you the word of Yahweh, all Yahweh that dwell in the land of Mizraim. Behold, I have sworn by my great name, says Yah, that my name shall no more be named in the mouth of any man of Yahweh in all the land of Mizraim, saying, Yahweh Elohim lives.
All right, so he took the name out of our mouths. Now we are completely pagan. We Lord and Baalim and all these different pagan names we shouldn't even mention are now the names that are in our mouths. This is what we're dealing with now. He took it out. We had to return unto the Father and relearn his name. We calling about all these other names and giving credit to all these other evil entities And that was part of the punishment. Now, taking the name is also the character. We lost the character of the Most High. We lost his laws, his statutes, his judgments as a nation. If it wasn't for a remnant, we wouldn't have anything. But this is part of him taking out his name out of our mouth. Well, we can't even name it. We won't even be able to name it. You got people still calling him God, still calling the son Jesus or calling him God, not knowing the difference.
Verse 27. Behold, I will watch over them for evil and not for good. And all the men of Yahweh that are in the land of Mizraim shall be consumed by the sword and by the famine, until there be an end of them. Yet a small number that escape the sword shall return out of the land of Mizraim into the land of Yahweh, and all the remnant of Yahweh that are gone into the land of Mizraim to sojourn there shall know whose word shall stand, mine or theirs. And this shall be a sign unto you, says Yahweh, that I will punish you in this place, that you may know that my words shall surely stand against you for evil. Thus says Yahweh, behold, I will give Pharaoh Hophra, king of Mizraim, into the hand of his enemies, and into the hand of them that seek his life, as I gave Zedekiah, king of Yahweh, into the hand of Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, his enemy, and that sought his life.
All right, so you see here, we are now worshiping the Queen of Heaven. You're about to see us making cakes and burning incense and doing all this type of wickedness is now being going on. All right, so let's go to Acts chapter 19, the book of Acts chapter 19. So this is something that's been going on for a long time. Acts chapter 19, we're going to read verses 21 through 41.
All right, Acts chapter 19 and verse 21. After these things were ended, Saul purposed in the spirit, when he had passed through Macedonia and Achaia, to go to Jerusalem, saying, after I've been there, I must also see Rome. So he sent into Macedonia two of them that ministered unto him, Timotheus and Erastus, but he himself stayed in Asia for a season. In the same time there arose no small stir about that way. For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana, brought no small gain unto the craftsmen, whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation, and said, sirs, you know that by this craft we have our wealth. Moreover, you see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Saul has persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands.
All right, as it is this day. That is the major push for all this pagan stuff amongst our communities. It's about money. Yes, now the people who are physically pulling these things, it's about money for them. But the spirits that are behind this, we know it's about our salvation. It's about, the devil only being able to duplicate death and can't create life. But this whole pagan structure is corporate. It's about Christmas and Easter and spending money and donating tithe money in the churches and developing revenue. The people that are really pushing this don't even really, support it that much. But you best believe the people at the top, they are literally worshiping these entities and getting paid to get you to turn and do the same thing. So now you got Diana. They're given a name. Diana, the Queen of Heaven. All right, continue.
Verse 27. So that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught, but also the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worships. And when they heard these sayings, they were full of wrath and cried out, saying, Great is Diana of the Ephesians. And the whole city was filled with confusion. And having caught Gaius and Aristarchus, men of Macedonia, Saul's companions in travel, they rushed with one accord into the theater. And when Saul would have entered in unto the people, the disciples suffered him not. And certain of the chief of Asia, which were his friends, sent unto him, desiring him that he would not adventure himself into the theater. Some therefore cried one thing, and some another, for the assembly was confused, and the more part knew not before they were come together. And they drew Alexander out of the multitude, the Yahudim putting him forward. And Alexander beckoned with the hand and would have made his defense unto the people. But when they knew that he was a Yehudi, all with one voice about the space of 2 hours cried out, Great is Diana of the Ephesians. And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, You men of Ephesus, what man is there that knows not how that the city of the Ephesians is a worshiper of the great goddess Diana and of the image which fell down from Jupiter?
All right, so the Ephesians, the Gentiles, not hiding their worship practices. But the children of Israel, once again, are now strangers in another land and now worshiping the gods of that land.
Verse 36. Seeing then that these things cannot be spoken against, you ought to be quiet and to do nothing rashly. For you have brought here these men, which are neither robbers of churches, nor yet blasphemers of your goddess. Wherefore Demetrius and the craftsmen which are with him have a matter against any man, the law is open, and there are deputies. Let them then plead one another. But if you inquire anything concerning other matters, it shall be determined in a lawful assembly. For we are in danger to be called in question for this day's uproar, there being no cause whereby we may give an account of this concourse. And when he has thus spoken, he dismissed the assembly.
All right, so again, they're making cakes to the Queen of Heaven. They're baking literal cakes to the Queen of Heaven, which they have now named Diana. So let's take a look at this whole situation here. Let's take a look at Diana. Let me put it up. All right, so here we have Diana. All right, Diana is a goddess in Roman religion, primarily considered a patroness of the countryside and nature, hunters, wildlife, childbirth, crossroads, the night and the moon. So now you see the moon goddess, and she's considered a virgin goddess and protector of childhood. All right, and what's important to see here is Diana has been considered a triple deity, merged with the goddess of the moon. And notice that Luna, that's a pagan goddess, Luna. And another one that they call Hecate. So this is what they call the diva or something triformis, some type of three godhead that they got going on. So this is originally spawning from the Queen of Heaven, which was Inanna, Isis, Astarte, which is the same derivative of where we got Yestre, and Asherah. So these are all pagan gods, goddesses that they're rolling up under one title, the Queen of Heaven. And what they do to worship is they bake cakes. Let's go back to Jeremiah chapter 7. That's where all these Easter bun cakes and all this stuff come from. Another one of these rituals. Jeremiah chapter 7. Jeremiah chapter 7, Jeremiah, and we're going to read 17 through 34.
All right, Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 17. Seest you not what they do in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough, make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. Do they provoke me to anger, says Yah? Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? Therefore, thus says Yahweh Elohim, behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon man and upon beast, and upon the trees of the field, and upon the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn and shall not be quenched.
All right, again, so you see all the way back in Jeremiah chapter 7, they're making cakes to the Queen of Heaven and pouring out drink offerings. So this is, again, this is a deep, in-rooted practice that we got going on here. Let me see something. Stop right there. So I'm going to read something else. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 8. What you have in Jeremiah, the longer that we continue to do this pagan practice, it wasn't just Shlomo that was allowing this in his household. The men of Israel were allowing this to go down in their household, and they knew what their wives were doing, and they allowed it. They joined in. So Yah destroyed us off the land because we refused to worship him, the same one who put us in the land that gave us everything. And now you're seeing what we're about to read here is the ancients doing the same thing. It's not just the leaders or the priests. You're seeing the ancients doing this. Ezekiel chapter 8. Let's go ahead and start this at verse 1.
All right, Ezekiel chapter 8 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, and in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in my house, the elders of Yahweh sat before me, that the hand of Yahweh Elohim fell there upon me. Then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins even downward, fire, and from his loins even upward, as the appearance of brightness, as the color of amber. And he put forth the form of a hand, and took me by a lock of my head. And the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven, and brought me in the visions of Elohim to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looks toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provokes to jealousy. And behold, the glory of the Elohim of Yasharal was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up your eyes now the way toward the north. So I lifted up my eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. He said furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest you what they do? Even the great abominations that the house of Yasharal commits here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary? Return you yet again, and you shall see greater abominations. And he brought me to the door of the court, and when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. Then he said unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold, a door. And he said unto me, Go in, and behold the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beast, and all the idols of the house of Yasharal, portrayed upon the wall round about. And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Yasharal, and in the midst of them stood Josiah, the son of Shaphan, with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Then said he unto me, Son of man, have you seen what the ancients of the house of Yasharal do in the dark? Every man in the chambers of his imagery? For they say, Yahweh sees us not. Yahweh has forsaken the earth.
So this is what they were doing behind closed doors. And when we look, you see that in Egypt, you see all those paintings of people with ox heads and a bird head and all kind of weird, abominable type creatures that they have invented. You're seeing that all over their walls and in their pyramids. Now you're looking behind closed doors in the houses of Israel in the ancients, and you're seeing the same thing, all kind of abomination. And this is what they do in dark. This is what they're hiding behind closed doors. And this is the same thing that happens now in these secret societies. They're going behind closed doors, doing these same things, doing these same pagan rituals, and then telling you that this has to do with the Most High. This has to do with the Son of the Most High. But this is what they're doing behind closed doors, acting like Yah cannot see them. Tamshi?
Verse 13. He said also unto me, Turn you yet again, and you shall see greater abominations that they do. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of Yahweh's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Then said he unto me, Have you seen this, O son of man? Turn you yet again, and you shall see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of Yahweh's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of Yahweh, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of Yah, and their faces toward the east, and they worshiped the sun toward the east.
All right, so what they're doing, see, this is why we don't say pray towards the east. You pray towards the temple of Yah. So they're turning their backs on the temple of Yah to pray towards the sun, for the sun god, for sun worship. And it's no coincidence it's called East in English. And it's called Easter in the pagan holiday. Sun, pagan, moon worship. It's all idol worship. All right, so let's stop right there. Let's go to Daniel chapter 7. Then we have one more for the conclusion. Daniel chapter 7, let's start this at verse 15.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose lip was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand unto a time and times and dividing of the time.
All right, so it's letting you know about this last beast that's going to come into the earth and going to change times. And that's what happened. Times were changed. We're in a position now where our calendars are all over the place because of the moon. Because many of us are following the moon, and the moon has a regular circuit. It can change. We weren't supposed to follow the moon. The moon had its purpose, but we weren't supposed to use it to dictate our months. Moon and month is only a derivative in English. If you go to any other language, month and moon is nowhere near. Completely different. In Hebrew, it's Hodesh. In Greek, it's Mane for month. And in Hebrew for moon, it's Yerak or Yeriak. And in the Greek, it's Selene. And then now you have this lunar calendar. When we saw clearly, Luna is Diana. It's a pagan goddess. So they've created a whole concept that's tied into this pagan god that has changed time, changed laws, changed the way we do things. Now we got a 13th month. Who you seen in the history of Israel born in the 13th month? Or who's going to be the priest responsible for the 13th? You don't see this. But these are the laws that's being changed. And this change is happening by this system that's in place, that's in power now, that's being ruled by the Gentiles, which is representing of that fourth beast. So let's go to Revelation chapter 17 for the conclusion. We have to understand that this is a spirit that we're following. And this spirit is this queen of heaven, which is dictating order, which is changing laws, changing the way things are supposed to be according to Yah's order. Revelation chapter 17, let's go ahead and start that at verse 1.
All right, verse 1. And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come here, I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
All right, so we're talking about the same beast in Daniel, right? And this king of the earth that's making fornication about, or this nation that sits on many waters and waters as nations, it's using his fornication to basically poison the whole earth. And fornication is idolatry, is what this is talking about. It's spreading its idolatry over the whole earth. Even though this nation wasn't the origin of it, it took it and made it famous and put it around and standardized it. And it's being likened unto a whore, a great whore. All right. And a whore means I will defile my body for money. All right, Tom Sheep. So that's what this nation is doing, is defiling itself for money, for greed.
Verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
All right, this nation, she got the children, she got the royalty, she has the children of Israel, the jewels of the Most High. That's what's keeping her up. That's what's keeping her looking good. But in her hand, what she's holding is straight abominations and fornication.
Verse 5. Excuse me. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of the harlots and abominations of the earth.
And what's interesting, when you look in the Black's book of law, you look up that definition of mystery. The definition that they have of mystery there is literally a person. It's literally a person. That's where Mr. comes from mystery, when you follow the etymology. So it's very interesting. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was not and is not, that was and is not, and yet is. And here's the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goes into perdition.
So this eighth one is from the other 7. So this is not something that is coming out of nowhere. One is being elevated. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
So when the beast takes over and has that short reign, you're going to have these new leaders come into place. And that's why, everything we see on the news with cryptocurrency and with, the BRICS and all those different currencies and stuff going on, we're like waiting to see who are these people that are going to be presented that are going to have this power for this short period of time.
Verse 13. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Master of masters and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he said unto me, The waters which you saw, where the whore sits, are peoples and the multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire.
All right, so this is when the rest of the system turns against them, turns against this so-called whore, right? Which is representing the Babylonian system, or daughter of Babylon, America. It's when the rest of these nations turn on America. And it's telling you what the end of it is: fire.
Verse 17. For Elohim has put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of Elohim shall be fulfilled. And the woman which you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth.
All right, now what city or what place that reigns over the earth, kings of the earth? Now, at least from what's presented to us, that looks like America. But what we want to see here is that there is a literal spirit of harlotry or whoredom or fornication that's coming out of this country, that's coming out of this leadership that we have here. And that is the system that's in place that is fulfilling all these prophetic warnings that we're being given. And it's this matriarchal queen of heaven, Easter pagan, willing to make sacrifices for whatever reason, whether it's to satisfy our women or whether it's to satisfy our finances, where we're making money by participating in this idolatry. Whatever it is, it's not the pleasing of the Most High. The only way that we can please the Most High is to adhere to his order, which is law, statutes, his commandments, and his judgments. So we have to separate ourselves from this, separate from this any of these pagan festivities. And again, if we have to be around it, make it be for a reason. Make it be something that we are sharing, that we're teaching, that we're allowing our people to wake up to. But at the end of the day, you can't cast your pearls amongst swine. So you say what you need to say and keep it moving. So that's all we're going to do today. Again, this was an open forum, so questions and comments are by all means allowed, as long as we do things decently in order and respect the viewers and the content of the class. So if anybody has any additional questions or comments, you can always reach out to us on our website at israelitesgathering.com. You can also reach out on our app, Israelite Gathering, which can be found on Apple and also on Android. And for those that are still keeping the holy days, I pray that you're able to sanctify your house, keep these spirits out, and enjoy the holy days despite the chaos that's going on in the world. So, Yah's will, we will see you for Bible study on Tuesday night. Until then, Yah be with you and your family. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of your support. Okay, Lakonda Cox 5415. Thank you so much for the super sticker and your support from my channel. Thank you. I deeply appreciate it. So y'all, please stay prayed up and continue to walk with the Most High, because we need him now more than ever. This world is completely turned up, and there are so many things happening, and those things are deeply impacting America as a nation. America is definitely on a decline, and people are feeling it. I saw some videos of people saying, when I wake up, it just don't feel the same. No, it don't. No, it don't. And it's not supposed to. Now that we are in the time of war, just like it said we would be, no, it's never going to be the same. There is no going back at all. So you're either now, you got to be either on the right side or the wrong side. And if you're not walking with the Heavenly Father, then you're surely on the wrong side. And there is no protecting you in these final days. So definitely pray and stay close to the Most High. And I pray He will protect each and every one of you with His most powerful angels, keeping you safe each and every day. Shabbat Shalom, family.